Lieutenant Sarah Chen pressed her back against the cold metal of the crashed shuttle, her breathing steady despite the pain radiating from her injured leg. The alien jungle of Kepler 442b stretched endlessly around her, its bioluminescent flora, casting an eerie blue-green glow across the landscape. 3 days had passed since the diplomatic mission went catastrophically wrong, and she was the sole survivor. The Zephyrians had seemed so civilized during first contact. Tall, graceful, beings with crystalline features and voices like wind chimes, but their true nature revealed itself when they realized humanity's expansion would eventually reach their sacred hunting grounds. The ambush had been swift and merciless. Now, as twilight descended on the alien world, Sarah heard them approaching. The Kythera pack hunters of this world were legendary even among the Zephyrians. 6-legged predators with razor-sharp claws and intelligence that rivaled sentient species. Their chittering calls echoed through the dense undergrowth, growing closer with each passing moment. Sarah checked her sidearm. 3 shots remaining. Against a pack of 12 Kythera, it might as well have been empty. She'd studied the mission, briefings extensively. These creatures were apex predators that hunted in coordinated groups, capable of taking down prey 10 times their size. Their carapaces could deflect most energy weapons, and their speed was unmatched. The first pair of glowing yellow eyes appeared through the foliage 30 meters away. Then another pair, and another. They emerged like nightmares made flesh. Each Kythera standing nearly 2 meters tall, their segmented bodies rippling with muscle beneath chitinous armor. Mandibles clicked in anticipation as they formed a perfect circle around her position. Sarah's training kicked in. She'd been taught that in hopeless situations, human unpredictability was often the only advantage. These creatures might be perfect, killing machines, but they followed patterns, instincts refined over millions of years of evolution. Humans, however, were chaos incarnate, the universe's greatest anomaly. The pack leader, distinguished by its scarred carapace and larger size, stepped forward, its head tilted as it studied her, probably calculating the most efficient kill. Sarah could see intelligence in those alien eyes. This wasn't just a mindless beast, but a thinking predator that had survived countless hunts. "You want to know what makes humans special?" Sarah said aloud, her voice carrying clearly in the still air. The creature's head snapped toward her, mandibles spreading in what might have been surprise. They'd never heard prey speak before. She slowly reached into her jacket pocket, ignoring the way several Kythera tensed for a strike. Her fingers closed around the small device she'd salvaged from the shuttle's emergency kit, a standard human distress beacon, modified with a simple addition that every human explorer carried. "We're not the strongest species," Sarah continued, watching as more pack members shifted restlessly. "We're not the fastest, or the smartest, or the most advanced. But we have something that makes every other species in the galaxy take notice." The pack leader's mandibles clicked impatiently. It was growing tired of this strange behavior from its prey. Sarah smiled grimly and activated the device. "We have friends." The word she spoke next wasn't in English or any human language. It was in Gorvani, the tongue of the massive warrior species that had become humanity's closest allies after a human negotiation team had saved their homeworld from a plague. The word was simple, ancient, and carried the weight of blood-sworn brotherhood. Kethrak. The response was immediate and devastating. The jungle exploded with sound as dozens of massive forms crashed through the canopy above. Gorvani shock troops, each standing 3 meters tall and weighing half a ton, descended on gravitic harnesses like angels of death. Their war cries shook the very ground as they landed with bone-crushing impacts around the clearing. The Kythera pack froze in terror. They had never encountered Gorvani before, but every predator instinct they possessed screamed danger. These weren't just larger predators. They were apex hunters from a death world, armed with plasma weaponry and centuries of warrior tradition. Squad leader Thrackmore landed directly between Sarah and the pack leader, his massive plasma cannon, already charging with a whine that promised annihilation. Behind his helmet's visor, Sarah could see his familiar scarred features twist into a battle grin. "Kethrak indeed, little sister," he rumbled in heavily accented English, Did you think we would leave you to face the dark alone? The Kithara pack made their decision in milliseconds. As one, they melted back into the jungle with barely a whisper of sound, their hunting instincts overridden by pure survival terror. In the span of 3 heartbeats, they had gone from apex predators to prey desperately fleeing for their lives. Sarah laughed despite herself, relief flooding through her system. Took you long enough, Thrak. I was starting to think you'd forgotten about me. The massive Gorvani warrior carefully lifted her with arms that could crush steel, cradling her as gently as a child. Forget the human who saved my nestlings? Never. When your beacon sang the old words, the entire Third Fang volunteered for immediate deployment. As the extraction team secured the area and prepared for medical evacuation, Sarah reflected on the true power that humanity wielded among the stars. It wasn't their technology or their military might, though both were formidable. It was their gift for turning enemies into friends, for building bridges across the vast gulfs between species. The Zephyrians had made a critical error in their calculations. They had seen humanity as isolated newcomers, easy prey to be eliminated before they became a threat. But humans were never truly alone. Wherever they went, they formed bonds, created alliances, and turned strangers into family. The word Kethrak meant more than just friendship in Gorvani culture. It meant those who stand together against the darkness. It was a promise, a vow, and a warning all rolled into one ancient syllable. As the medical transport lifted off from the hostile world, Sarah smiled through her pain medication. The Zephyrians would learn soon enough what happened to those who threatened humanity's children. They would discover that humans weren't just explorers or diplomats or warriors. They were the species that made friends with monsters and turned those friends into family. In the vast darkness between the stars, that was the most terrifying weapon of all.